Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Woodsman channel. Today's scenario is I was out on a rabbit hunt today with two beagles, and it is, I don't know if you could tell from the background, but it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now the two beagles got away from me around 2 o'clock. I lost track of them, and I've tracked them all the way across probably about 3 to 4 miles from where we dropped off the dogs from the snowmobile. It's January 1st. Tonight's temperatures are supposed to be somewhere around 5 above, maybe 8 above, so it's going to be quite cold. But the problem that I've come up to now is, you can see behind me, there's a good sized swamp back there. And my dogs, I can hear them barking on the other side of that swamp every now and then, so I'm not going to be able to catch them tonight. So tonight, them dogs are kind of on their own. But I've got a problem. It's almost dark. I've got 1 hour before dark here in the state of Maine. It's it's going to get dark around 4:30. It's 5 miles back to the snowmobile, and then a 5-mile ride from there back to where the truck is. So I'm in if unprepared, I am in a pickle. But what you should do in these situations is always be prepared for you're gonna spend the night. Even though it was a sunny day and you just went to go out for a couple of hours. I only meant to be out hunting the dogs for a couple of hours today. Well, here I am on the backside of this swamp. This swamp is not frozen enough for me to cross it. So I'm gonna have to go around it. I do not have enough time. So all I've got time to do now is to build a fire. And if you look over my shoulder, the only kind of fire starter that I can see is an old dead rotten white birch tree. So I'm going to go over to that white birch tree and I'm going to bring you over. And my priority now is to gather firewood and get a fire built. Now yesterday it rained. We got 2 inches of rain, and in the morning we got about 6 inches of snow. So absolutely everything in this woods is damp. It's wet. The tree limbs are wet. The birch bark is still damp. It is not a very nice place to have to build a fire and spend the night here tonight. Shelter, I do not have enough time to build shelter. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down and check out that birch tree, and then we're going to try to get us through this scenario of being not lost in the Maine woods, just can't get back to the vehicle that brought me here. And in this state, that is common. So hang with me. I'm going to drag you down to that tree, and we're going to see if we can get some fire starter, and we're going to see if we can get a fire built. Not see, we will. It's a got-to thing tonight. We must get a fire built tonight, or we will not make it until morning. It is going to be 0 degrees. That's Fahrenheit, 0. That is cold to spend the night in the woods. So I'll see you down there. Alrighty, well, I'm down here at the swamp, and you can see, you see that hill over on the backside? About 20 minutes ago, I heard my two beagles. I believe that they're on the other side of it, but I know this terrain quite well, and this swamp probably is 5 miles in, and another mile and a half to the left of me. That 5 miles in is to the right of what you can see. So tomorrow I'm going to have to get around this swamp tomorrow morning and go after them dogs, pick their tracks up in the snow. But right now there is just no way. I will zoom you in on the swamp. Maybe I can take you a little spin around here so you can see just what we're talking about here. So, as you can see, it's a pretty big swamp. Alrighty, I am going to get on building that fire, and I'm going to be listening for them beagles through the night probably. So, alright, you hang on there. Now, the one thing that I don't want to do this evening, I'm already sweaty enough from chasing them beagles down and rabbit hunting out here since about 10 o'clock this morning. I'm not really wet. I've been cautious today to hunt accordingly so we don't sweat that much. But if you build up a huge sweat at this point, you're going to be soaking wet when the sun finally does go down and then temperatures start to drop. So you want an easy fire. That's why I am not taking the time this evening to spend a couple of hours building a shelter. It's all going to be about fire. And right here is that birch tree. It's the only one that I can see around me that's I don't have to go a quarter of a mile for. There's some other tinder sources, but everything is so damp that I'm not sure it will work. But what I do know that even this stuff, as much as it rained yesterday, as much as this stuff rained yesterday, and the snow and stuff, this stuff will still work. So I've got my flint, my handy dandy flint and steel lighter. I have a flint with me, and I also have some charred punk wood. But as you can see, it's getting darker by the minute. Playing around, trying to get a fire built between now and dark, or having a nice warm toasty fire, is all that we're after right now. Save your other stuff for them times when you want to play. Right now, I need a fire. Now this stuff got wet yesterday. We had 2 inches of rain yesterday on the ground, about 4 inches of snow. That right there is why we flick the flint and steel lighter at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This will now become an emergency fire. Another one of those emergency fires that you hear me talk about often. It's because I'm a woodsman, I'm a hunter, I'm a fisherman. We're out hunting all day long. We're not worried about shelter or fire building because we know that at 4 o'clock we're going to have a fire and we're going to tough out the night with what's at hand. So this is what a real emergency fire is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to grab some of this birch bark and I am going to move it to an area where I can build a fire. If I was to spend the night here tonight, I would hunker down close to these cattails that you see behind me, because within 5 or 10 minutes, I can make quite a nest out of them cattails. That's one of the reasons I hunt swamps. I like swamps. They have a lot of building materials, and I can have a quick, easy, dandy shelter, easy peasy, with a raging bonfire within an hour of it being dark. So I will move on to where I'm going to build a fire. And I will bring you along with me, just for the ride. Thank you for hanging in here. I just wanted you to see that this is a very, very rotten birch tree. As far as burning the wood, the wood would be absolutely no good at all. But the birch bark on it is pristine, pristine. So I will probably light it just for demonstrations. I will light it with a ferrocerium rod, and then I will also light it with my actually flint and steel. I have a flint and steel with me tonight, and some punk wood. So we like to do several ways. That way you can't just say that I only know how to use a flint and steel lighter. I thoroughly enjoy all the other methods. They have a time and they have a place. This is not the time nor the place. I need an emergency fire so that I can spend the night comfortably in the Northern Maine woods and get up in the morning and be comfortable enough to go chase down 2 beagles that I just heard just a couple of minutes ago. So they're still in the area. With any luck, they will come and hunt for me. Sometimes they'll do that once they get bored of chasing their rabbit. They will come find their owner. So keep that in mind if you're ever out there hunting for your beagles. Sometimes they'll chase you. Alrighty, catch you later. I'm going to go up and build a fire. Welcome back. I am at the fire table where I like to build these fires because it's better for the camera. It is getting dark now. I've turned up the exposure on the camera so that I can continue to film, but It is probably close to 4 o'clock. It will be dark at 4:30. So this bark is off that rotten tree. It is quite moist. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. All I'm doing is scraping this up. I know that a lot of stuff like this on YouTube, but normally it's not with such terrible bark. But what I wanted to show you was how easy it is to work with. I will be right back. I'm shutting off just for a second. Alrighty, welcome back. Sorry about that. Had to duck out for a second. Alright, so now I've got this birch bark that I collected off that tree. I've already showed you that I can light it with a flint and steel Zippo lighter, which I always have in my pocket under all circumstances. Now I got this ferrocerium rod. Even off that rotten tree, if you stumble across it and it's all that you have, this is what you got. Let me get some bark here ready to go. So don't hesitate to pick it up. Put it in your pocket. That way, I'm running out of time, but that way you've got something to get a fire built with. And remember your white birch match. I got this from Far North Bushcraft. Great idea. It works excellent. Look him up. So there's your wet birch bark. We're going to light this other match with it. Then we're going to come over here. We're going to protect it from the wind. It's very windy out here tonight. I hope you can see all this. Now this is from bark that's not that great. You saw the tree that I picked it up off. It's quite moist on the inside, but look at the raging fire that it will still build. So you don't have to take it from a live tree. Now I'm going to gather some firewood and I am going to be ready to spend the night. All I have with me for lighting is a headlamp. So we don't want to run that all night, but we need to gather enough. We need to gather enough firewood so that I can be toasty. I do have an axe with me and I do have a folding saw. That is stuff that I keep in my pack at all times, even on a rabbit hunt. In North Maine Woods, you are the only one that can save yourself. Whether you are out on a scout or hiking, or whether you are out hunting like we do. This is not a hobby up here. I appreciate you tuning in. And as you can see with that bark, we are going to have a raging fire. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you like it, and I will have more scenarios like this from the North Maine Woods. Make sure to check out the links in the description part of this video. I will link you to more ways to build a fire in the North Maine Woods.